Do you have your fuzzy slippers on? Are you ready for some real talk? Are you here today to have the conversation that you're terrified to have, and yet you absolutely know you need to have right now? I've been saying for weeks now, DM me clarity, send me a message, drop in clarity in the comments. So far, very few, if really nobody has. So let's talk about that silence. Let's talk about what you are thinking, what you're really trying to say, what I think you're really trying to say. And I'm going to say back to you some things that I know that as soon as you drop the clarity in the comments or you DM it to me, that I could actually say to you. Now, some of this is going to be a little generic because I'm just answering from what I have colloquially, that's a fun word, what I have come to call Steve-isms. Um, Steve-isms are always usually a little funny, but they're also something that you probably have gotten used to hearing. And sometimes they can be drinking games too. So, whatever level you're at, whoever you are, come on in today, have your coffee or whatever else you're drinking with the drinking game. Be all comfy and cozy, and let's have that coffee shop confession. Let's have that deeply together time where we can up level you and get you some help that maybe you're a little afraid to ask. Maybe you've been holding off asking, or maybe you've asked it, you just haven't asked me directly. You're kind of saying it out loud while I'm talking, or you're wishing that somebody would ask you so that you could say it. I'm here today, and we're going to do that. And we are going to take it to the next level right here today. If you know things you want to say, if you know things you'd like to hear, feel free to drop them in the comments. I am absolutely more than willing to answer live questions as well now. But we'll go into some of the things that are just the real and have the ability to be able to talk about what we would talk about if we were sitting across from each other over coffee, or in my case, water. You can have coffee if you want, and really getting to the heart and soul and core of who you are and that amazingly incredible stuff you're meant to do in the world. Wow, that was a long intro, much, much more than a normal hook, but I hope you enjoyed it. Hi, my name is Steve Kidd. I'm a third generation minister, international best-selling author of 39 number one international bestsellers and counting. Number 40 is already written. We'll hold off for a little bit before we put out the Zaraz book. It's a little deeper and needs a whole bunch of intro that we're going to do to it. But right now, how can I help you today? Did definitely make it number one, as well as it made it on the list in a couple of other countries. And very, very excited to be able to encourage you with that. Because although, yes, I've helped over 5,000 people in the process of writing, publishing, marketing their books to bestseller, I absolutely do have a program where in as little as 30 days, for 15 grand, you can and will get your book completely done. All the same stuff, well, the same outcome that the average ghostwriter charges $50,000 for. We have a 15K program, and all you need to do is be able to talk. No writing involved. Absolutely super easy. We've done it in as little as 3 days. We normally tell people it'll take 30 to 90 days. And honestly, if it goes longer than 90 days, there's other things happening in your life. They may be really cool stuff. Maybe you met the love of your life. I hope you did. That would be absolutely cool. And then you can turn around and pray for me that I too will meet the love of my life. And that's how it kind of works together for us, doesn't it? But really, we absolutely are here today to talk about you, to do the things that I do every day. And a lot of times, really, they're for free, they're for friends, they're things that I'm not charging for that I probably should, or that are done on a I scratch your back, you scratch mine kind of a basis. But they are the things that I know come out of my mouth all the time, and some possibilities of some things that if we were sitting across the table from each other, if instead of you looking at me on a computer screen, you were looking at me live and in person. If you came to my little town here in Miltonville, Kansas, little town of 400 people, we do have a cafe here, and we could go over to the cafe and sit across to the table, um, and you could have a soda or coffee or whatever. You know, they have pretty good food there too. Whatever you wanted to do, and we can just sit and we can chat and we can talk about you. You know, you've heard me talk about the three C's: clarity, consistency, connection. We've gone deep into that whole heart level, heart centered thing that connection is. We've talked about how the way that we show off our heart is in that consistency. And then we've gone into both some things that'll help you be clear, and we're going to do a whole lot more of that today, as well as talk about the fact that some of that clarity is things that are that person outside of your jar reading the label for you. And that's very much what I'm going to do today. Okay. You know, because here's the thing. Number one, you're not stuck. You really aren't. I know it feels like it. I feel that a lot of times myself, you know, and I'll go desperately to a friend or ChatGPT, you know, who I also sometimes tell them they're my friend. And then they thank me and tell me that that can't be because they're a program and not a person. Uh, but I know that these are the kind of things I'd say to you. And the truth is, you're not stuck. You absolutely are 100% exactly who you are right now today. All of your clarity, all of your confusion, all of your honesty, all of your lies, all of the everything. It's also not constipation. It's not something that is bound up inside of you. It's think of this if you want to as a spiritual laxative. I'm really kind of not saying you are constipated. I'm more thinking that it's like champagne. Has anybody ever had champagne before? I can't say that I'm a huge fan. You know, when I was a single parent, I had good friends of mine that would take me out at least once a month, sometimes several times during the month, and all both to give me a break away from kids, but also to keep me human and sane and those kind of things. And I got to tell you that honestly, with all of the here, try this, here, try that, all the drinks they had me try, they all feel like cough medicine to me. And I feel that same way about champagne. But I'm sure you've had champagne or seen champagne. And what we really are, what you're really finding yourself at this point is you're really more like a bottle of champagne. You know, you got all that fizzy carbonation in there, all the bubbles that want to come up. And if you take, especially, you know, like they do at sporting events and things like that, celebration different times, if you take and you shake it up before you pop the cork, oh wow, you know, you're really going to get an explosion. I mean, most of the time when you pop the cork, just the nature of that, it tends to kind of fizz over to some extent. If you shake it up a whole lot, I mean, it's not only going to explode and shoot the cork all the way across the room, but it's probably going to follow and paint the floor with champagne, right? And that's really more where you are. You need somebody to come in and put that last little bit of pressure. You see, the champagne bottle has a ton of pressure behind it. It just, you know, whether it's that little weird little layer thing that they put over top of it that I assume is to also help the cork stay in place. I don't really honestly know. Or it's the little extra lip at the bottom of the cork that causes it, for whatever reason, to stay stuck in the bottle, even though there's all that pressure built up in the bottle. And even when you shake the bottle really hard, you know, it tends to not explode, and it doesn't bust out the sides. Now, if you've ever seen it, it's pretty cool to see somebody who will take the champagne bottle and go like this with a knife, you know, and they chop part of the side of the bottle and the cork and everything, And, because there's a ton of pressure there. And that's a lot of what you're feeling today, isn't it? You feel that pressure built up inside of you. And it may feel like being spiritually constipated. It may feel like being stuck, but it's really about being prepared. You see, there's a certain amount of pressure, a certain amount of leavening, a certain amount of time that it takes. Okay? The good champagne, and I'm only telling you what's been told to me, the good champagne, it takes time for it to be produced, and it takes time for it to ripen and be ready. The same thing's true with wine. I heard the other day, and I don't know this to be true at all. Okay, I mean, I'm shining my ignorance to you right now, but I heard the other day that in order for bourbon to be considered bourbon, for it to officially be bourbon, and maybe it's specifically Kentucky bourbon. Again, like you said, don't quote me on any of this, but it has to have more than 50% corn mash in it, and it has to then have aged in a charred oak barrel for a minimum of 2 years. That's time, that's pressure, that's all that fermentation, that's all that building up in there. And that's where you're at. A lot of you are feeling that right now, aren't you? You feel like that cork is just about to pop. And the question I would ask you if we were one-on-one, and I will ask you here, because, internet-wise, we're sitting across the table from each other. We absolutely are. And the question I have for you is, are you willing to let the cork pop? What is the most terrifying thing you can think of if your cork popped and you exploded all that's in you out onto the world? I mean, let's dive into that a little bit. Maybe you're afraid it would come out completely unclear, unconcise. Maybe you're afraid that your heart wouldn't be truly connected with it. Maybe you're afraid, and I've had this fear before. Any of you that ever read like my book, Romeo the Suicidal Parakeet, or other things, anybody that knows me knows I can be a little bit snarky. Okay. You posted Dear Ideal Client on LinkedIn today. That's interesting. I like that. Yeah. Sometimes you just got to pray out for that person. Sometimes you got to believe they're there before you see they're there. And you absolutely have to speak. And you have to do it afraid. Maybe you do have a quirky, snarky, weird sense of humor. Maybe, like I've been most of my life, maybe you've always struggled with your weight, and you don't really like when you look back at the videos and you see, the weight that you have to lose. Or even after you've lost 120 pounds, like I've done now, a little bit more than that now. Even after you've lost that, you still look and you see all the places where you still need to lose the weight. See, we're like that to ourselves. Imagine if the champagne bottle with the cork tightly pushed in it, if it had a little hand inside of it that was holding the cork back. So as the person that was trying to help was trying to pop the cork, like I'm trying to do for you, try to open you out, release you into the world. That's what we've been doing on all of these lives, is to pop your cork. Because the world needs, even these few, even if it gets all over the place and it makes a total mess, so much better because it's out there. But it's like we have this internal little hand, little lever, whatever, that's holding the cork in. And so even as the people are trying to help us pop it, we're like, no, 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 I'm not letting the cork out, right? Type clarity if you need to have your cork popped today. That sounded really nasty, and I didn't mean it that way at all. But if you need help releasing that, I'm stuck, I'm spiritually constipated, I can't do it, I have all these fears, let's pop that. Let's go for it. Let's do that today. Type clarity. Let's get you the clarity you need for it. Here's a second thing that I definitely would say to you, and that's this. Clarity never comes in waiting. The longer you wait, the only thing you'll really get good at is waiting. you'll be very, very, very good at coming up with another reason why you need to wait. I've done it with books. I've done it with book launches. And oh my gosh, have I seen authors do it with books. Oh, well, I've just got this one more thing I want to tweak. And so we start off with, okay, here's a statistic for you because I love statistics. Okay. Yeah, christen the boat. Let's crack the champagne bottle on the side of the boat and just go for it. I've had people that I've worked with, the statistic that I was going to give you. Amazon has found, because Amazon loves statistics, that if your book is 100 pages or less, more than 60% of the people that get the book will finish it. If your book is 101 to 200 pages, that drops to around 20%. And if the book goes over 200 pages, it's less than 3% of people that ever finish that book. Now think about that one for a minute. Think about all the books you've got, all the books you've gotten, and all the books that you've read. Okay, so I'm not letting you cheat and go with audiobooks. Okay, I'm talking about actual reading. Okay, I know reading. What the heck is reading? And I love audiobooks too. And when you get a book by Terry Goodkind or Terry Brooks or whatever, I would rather have that in audio. But I can tell you that a 350-page Shannara book, when you first get that Audible, it's going to tell you that it's going to be like 15 to 18 hours. Who has 18 hours to sit and listen to a book? I was for a while. I was in a group that we were reading a book, and it was a business book. So even, not even as entertaining as like reading Terry Brooks or something like that. And we were reading a book and had to do a certain part of it every single week to be prepped for the mastermind. And the only way I could possibly do it, I was lucky the place that I was living in had this really long shower, and I had the shelf at the back of it that water didn't hit. Plus my phone is supposedly, somewhat water resistant, supposedly. I've never put it underneath the water to test it, but, and the only thing I could do was listen to it every morning in the shower. And it also meant I had to take longer showers. So I would start the recording just after I got up. And the whole entirety of everything in my whole morning routine, all the way through making and eating breakfast on the days that I did eat breakfast, and there were a lot of days I didn't. The showering, shaving, brushing your teeth, all of those kind of morning things. I would listen to that audio book just playing while I was doing all of that. And then when it was time to get to work, when I was ready to sit down on my computer, I would turn off the audiobook. And I would hope that by doing that 5 to 7 days a week, that I could keep up with how much of the reading we were supposed to do. It's just the reality of life. Now, when you get to the actual reading, you pick up a book, like, my book here. Yes, this is my bestseller. It's only the beginning, my 20th book. And it's short. Let's look at it. It's, 59 pages? 53 pages. Okay, so it's a short book. It fits in that space. But, when you pick it up and you start reading the book, and you're going through it, and yes, I flipped the pages backwards for those of you that caught that. Really the truth is there's only so much that you're going to retain. So yeah, back in the day when my kids were little, and Alex, my youngest son, Maya, my youngest daughter, was mine by adoption. And she came in a couple of years later. And she was actually not in school when Alex and Michael, my two young sons, then were just in school. Alex was like a first grader and Michael was like a third grader. And for Alex, the homeschool program that we put him in, it was one of those online Connections Academy, I think is what it was. Don't quote me on that. And for him, it was a competition. It was all about how quickly can I get done? Because then I can be the winner. I finished all my stuff. And that becomes what the reading becomes like. if we're going to finish the book, or we actually do take the time to take it in, and then it becomes like all those books that you've got on your shelf. I know, I've seen them. They were great books. You never finished them, did you? And I know why. Who has the time? Or you got what you needed out of it. I'll give you a perfect book, and this is a book I absolutely love. Mike Michalowicz. Absolutely get Profit First on audio, okay? Mike Michalowicz is hilarious, all right? In audio is how you want to get all of Mike's books, okay? But Profit First, in the book, Mike specifically says, don't go forward until you do this. Here's what you need to do. Don't move on to the next section until you've done it. And then he moves on to the next section. See, here's the problem with human nature, okay? We want to accomplish what's in front of us. If there are more pages, we want to read the more pages, okay? And then on top of that, even more so than that, is, step 10 in a 10-step program. And you may have a 2-step, you may have a 50-step program, whatever. Step 10, if that's the last step, that's a sexy step. That's the success step. That's the step that everybody wants to have the result of. Maybe they don't want to do it, but they all want the result of it. Like right now, when I'm telling you, go live, do it every day, build the momentum. What you want to do is be viral. You want to be in a place where you have 1 million followers and you can drop a product. And if it was a 99-cent product, you can get 100 or 200,000 of them to buy that 99-cent product right now today. And if it was a $5,000 product, you can get, statistically speaking, out of 1 million, about 5 to 10,000 people that will buy it over the course of a month. You want to be at that place. You want to do one live, have a bazillion people see it, go insta viral. I mean, come on. Whether you like Donald Trump or not, some of you remember the TV show The Apprentice. And one of the things they would do is have a challenge for creating a viral video, which is absolute crap. Because viral videos are not something that you can just be like, okay, today I'm creating a viral video. And by the end of this 24-hour period or 2-hour session, this video will be viral. Now, if you have a massive following, like especially when they were doing it on Celebrity Apprentice, and you have the following that, like, say, Gene Simmons has, then sure, you can make that video go viral. If you have nobody, if this is your day one, first video you've ever watched on Facebook, when you go live today, which you're going to do because you're awesome and amazing and I believe in you, you aren't likely going to have a bazillion people that are going to see it. Yes, you can use viral concepts, but getting the views is a special certain kind of magic, and it's also based in the 3 C's: clarity, consistency, connection. I would even add another one to that, and that's knowing who you're talking to, and then putting it in the place where they're going to be. If, for example, you're doing something very, very businessy, okay, LinkedIn is the place where business people are at. Now, you have to also understand, it's a lot harder to get a video to go viral on LinkedIn. The most virility that I've seen people get, honestly, are the live events, which are audio only, and they're very much like Clubhouse. Clubhouse is a great example of instant virality. Okay. Yes, meet your customers where they are. And Clubhouse had that for a very short period of time. I have a couple of my friends that were on it, like in the super early days, because you could go into Clubhouse and you could get up on stage, quote unquote, as audio only. You could get up on stage with Dean Grazioso. I heard one person say that they got to be able to be on stage and share some of their unique brilliance on stage with Tony Robbins. And for a very, very short period of time, and I'm talking like weeks, Those people were able to get up on stage and say something powerful on the stage and get tens or hundreds of thousands of followers on Clubhouse. What I can also tell you, that was about 4 years ago ish. What I can also tell you is none of them are on Clubhouse, and the few that I do still know that are on Clubhouse. I mean, I'm not talking like the Dean Graciosos, but I'm talking about the ones that got on stage with him. The few of them that are still on there, they're not spending the 16 hours a day that these people were spending on Clubhouse. And that was the trick behind Clubhouse. You had to show up and be willing to be on there 10, 12, 15, 16, 20 hours in a day for the opportunity to be able to, say something and drop a, hey, go so-and-so to, join me in, and to have a really well worked out profile so that it had a link in it that people could not only follow you on Clubhouse, but know the work that you did and go out and see your stuff and want to buy your stuff. Virality is something that is marketed. It's something that it's engineered. It isn't accidental, not really. Now, if you're a pretty girl, you're 20 years old, and you're willing to do the most nasty, disgusting things that any twisted individual, and I'm not trying to diss anybody, but any twisted individual can ask you to do and is willing to pay for you to do, you can get a ton of followers for a while. Just don't get older. That might even last until you're what, 25, 30? And sure, you can move to a different space. You could be in a place where, instead of, performing for 30s and 40-year-old, Wall Street type of guys, you're now performing for 60 and 70-year-old alcoholics in a downtown bar in some place like downtown Detroit, Michigan. And you could hold on to your being viral, if virality is not the right word, since Patricia's laughing at me. You can do those things, but is it worth what that's doing? And every single one of those, because it feels like it may have felt like I went a little bit off place, but I really didn't. I wanted to go deep into that example for you, because every single one of those has one thing in common. It's what happens after you open your mouth and speak. Waiting is not a part of it. Waiting doesn't work. You can be the most drop dead gorgeous person, doesn't matter whether you're a girl or a boy, in the entire world. And if you're not willing to show your beautiful face, if you're waiting, for that makeup to come in, for that zit to clear up, for, your haircut appointment that's next week, for your hair to grow just a little bit longer, you're just waiting. You have no followers because you're doing no thing. You like how that word nothing comes together to be doing no thing? So do you get it? Clarity doesn't come from waiting. It comes from speaking, and that helps you get clear. It comes from working with somebody that's going to, and this is one of my biggest beefs with coaches. There's a whole lot of coaches that want you to spend a whole lot of money learning a whole bunch of stuff before you do anything. If your coach does not have a system that's designed for you to, day one, take action on X, and doesn't have a very basic protocol of starting from day one, you're going to do X, Y, Z. You're going to do this on Monday, this on Tuesday, this on Wednesday, and can specifically tell you. That's why I'm telling you. You pick up the phone today, not tomorrow, not next week, not next year. You pick up the phone and you say, "Hi, my name is, what I do is," and the one thing I want to make sure you know today is. And I've made it that simple for you, not even a do that on Monday and then have the subject be this on Tuesday and blah, blah, none of those things. I'm not talking to you about how to write a viral script. I'm not talking about how to market it. I'm not talking to you about how to break it up into shorts. None of those kind of things. I'm just keeping it really simple. Start off where you are from day one, but I've got something for you on day, what would technically be day zero, because I'm teaching you to do it for free. I'm telling you before you're part of any of my programs. You just happen to catch this on the live. And yes, you got to speak up. And you got to do it especially when you feel like nobody's listening. Because that's when they're lurking. That's when the people are looking to see if you're for real, if you're legit, and if what you said today will ring true with what you say tomorrow. How many times have you seen somebody, and this drives me crazy. I'll admit it straight up with some of my authors, because there's this person and they have this thing that they're really amazing at, and they have this 10, 20-year career, where they worked in corporate for 10 years, and now they have their whole own business doing this thing because they saw a hole in the market, and they totally do it. And we write their book, and they become a #1 international bestseller or a bestseller or whatever. And then somebody comes to them and says, "Hey, how did you do that? Can you show me how to make my book a bestseller?" And rather than them saying, and yeah, I'm going to put this right out there, rather than them saying, "Well, I worked with Steve and he made me a bestseller," what they do is they go, I paid, and since this is my first one, I probably can't charge quite that much, but I bet this person would give me, and then they create this whole brand new program. And now, they've been posting for a week, a year, 20 years on this whole thing that they're magic at. When you hear them, you're like, oh my gosh, yes. And now they're a book coach. They are a publishing company. I don't know if you ever noticed, but I never refer to myself as a publishing company. I worked with 5,000 authors, and I've been doing this for nearly 20 years, and I do not consider myself a publishing company. I'm a marketing company. Part of that is because a lot of those things drive me crazy. I have people that I work with that love editing. They think finding where the comma should go is a blast. It drives me nuts. Can I do it? Am I even pretty good at it? Yeah. Do I want to do it ever again? Honestly, no. That's why I love allowing people to shine where they shine. If you hate doing your taxes, find somebody that's excited about doing taxes. Let them do them for you. Yeah, it might cost you some money, but the brain cells that are alive afterwards is totally worth it. Speak, be clear, and be you. Don't be the thing that you did. I'm going to give you another example on this end. Some of you know Lisa Nichols. Some of you have never heard the name. She was in the book and the movie The Secret. She's been on Oprah twice. Lisa is an amazing transformational speaker. Lisa could read you her grocery list, and you would find your heart, soul, and life transformed. And you would be inspired to want to go buy whatever was on her grocery list. And then somebody came in and told Lisa, you should teach how to be a speaker. And Lisa still has. And I consider Lisa to be somebody that is a dear friend. And she has speaker training courses, and they're horrible. In point of fact, her speaking went downhill when the person that she brought in to work along with her on that conned her into trying to be more of a drama queen on stage. Now, I have a good friend of mine. Patricia, you're going to have to tell me this person's name. She just jumped out of my head, that is an actress. and it's going to come to me here in a minute. But anyway, an amazing Broadway actress, has all kinds of stuff. And she teaches people how to perform on stage. And that's her thing. That's what she knows and how she teaches you. She teaches you dramatic pause. She teaches you how to move it. Yes, Brenda Edelman. Absolutely. And incredible at that. That's not Lisa's thing. Now, if you want to learn how to take the heart and soul and core of who you are and pour it out genuinely and honestly, Lisa's your girl. If you want to learn how to make sure you cover every corner of the stage and you use your arm in the right way when you're doing this and you fall to your knees during the dramatic part, Lisa's not the person to go to. And I don't, from the trainings that I've seen Brenda do, she's not quite that trite or that overly, she's going to help you bring out the real you on stage, which is really what it needs to be. My point is, it doesn't matter. I mean, Lisa is a huge international, not only international bestseller, but I mean international celebrity. She's been on the Dr. Phil show, the Oprah show. She was Steve Harvey's coach when the Steve Harvey show was originally starting. But she too can get conned into getting out of her lane. And you need to be careful of that. And yeah, I moved into number 3 without telling you that number 3 is stay in your lane. Do the thing that only you can do. Be the you that only you can be. You're never going to feel ready. You're not going to wake up one morning and go, just hit me. Readiness. It got on me. I'm now going live to the world because I'm ready. Because at number 1, you're already ready. If you're waiting for a permission slip, here it is. You're ready. You're Dr. You. We talked about this on last Saturday. What you got to do is open your mouth and speak in your lane as you to the person that you are meant to serve, where they are. Like I said, business people are on LinkedIn, and business people don't want to hear you drone on for 30, 40 minutes like I'm doing. And it's actually amazing how many people do listen to some part or all of my live on LinkedIn. But typically, that wouldn't be the place that wouldn't be the place or the method I would tell you to start when you're talking LinkedIn and to business CEOs. If you're working with solopreneurs and stay-at-home moms and small business owners, most of them are going to be more, if they're 35 to 40 and over, they're going to be on Facebook. And if you're, if you're talking to Gen Zs, younger kids, they're on TikTok. And there's another one that's going to be coming up that's going to replace TikTok. And it probably already is there. And if you went to Gary Vee's latest video, he might even already be telling you about it. I'm not aware of it yet. If you're a massive, massive Donald Trump fan, then you want to be on Truth Social. Again, I'm not critiquing any of these. They're just purely, you got to know who you're speaking to, and then you got to be where they are. Because if you want to be seen, you got to be seen. And to be seen, you got to be where the people are. That's why the town crier went into the town square and cried out the message, rather than standing in the king's throne room and just yelling the message there. Yeah, YouTube is still going strongly, and that's a great place to go too. So many possibilities. But you can't wait to be ready. You got to do it. Clarity is going to come first from you speaking it, and second from you finding somebody that's going to, going back to point number 1, help you pop the cork, put it out there and do it. Now, there's a whole bunch more we can go through. And maybe none of these are specifically what you do, because part of what I would do for you is all intuition, and it's going to be all hearing what you're saying and then saying, hey, what about? What if you didn't do such and such? What if, and then I love it when I get excited and I'm like, oh, and then you could. You know, and you turn one group of 10 into 10,000 people that are all going to be part of it. And the mathematics break down because, you know, you end up with 10 billion people and there's only 8 billion people in the world. Yeah, my brain works that way. I'm crazy like that. But if you'd like to have that powerful clarity that will change your word, then guess what you got to do? You got to drop the word clarity. If you'd like to have a one-on-one session, to do a virtual coffee, to open the possibility space, as Patricia just said, if you're ready to go for it, I really would love to help you. I would love to be able to say, hey, you know, I met with so and so, with your permission, of course, and they asked me this question, and here's what I told them. To maybe even say, hey, hold on a second. That's a great question. Let's record this for you. And then, you know, and then afterwards, you know, maybe you'll even let me use a little excerpt from it. That's what you need. That's clarity. That's consistency. That's connection. That's you showing up, even in your fuzzy slippers, with a cup of coffee in hand or a bottle of water that you're desperately needing, like I have been today. To just show up, to overflow, to be the you that only you can be, and make the difference that only you can make. Drop the word clarity. Do it right now. Do it even if you're terrified. Because today is the day to pop that cork, speak out those words, not wait anymore because you already are ready, and really truly get it done. And share, speak, do the thing that you can do for the person that you're meant to serve. Thanks for doing it. I appreciate you for doing that. See, you already got one thank you already, and more to come. Until we're together again next time, I hope you're happy, safe, warm, and loved, that you do drop the word clarity, that you do know you're already ready, and that you will just open your mouth and speak and share the words of life that only you can share for the person that you're meant to serve. Have a great week.